So apparently the name of this beer is fruity.
We're aptly named. Aptly named. See, those guys have had 1,000 years to figure out what they were going to call this beer.
And they got it in one.
They got it in one. Let's call it fruity.
Yeah. What's this beer like?
Fruity?
It's pretty fruity.
Fruity? Coming to you somewhat live, well below street level, in the Trappe Door restaurant on Washington Street in magnificent Greenville, South Carolina. I'm Russ Heaps, and welcome to this episode of Big John and Five. That's where I get my good buddy here, Big John Richards, who's the beer whisperer for Beer to Whiskey, to pick a beer from one of Trappe Door's taps or cans and bottles. We sniff it, we sip it, we get bits about it. Sometimes we learn a little bit about the brewery that's responsible for the beer, and sometimes we learn a little bit about brewing itself. With all of that said, John, what are we drinking?
We are drinking a new beer from Val-Dieu Brewery in Belgium. When we sat down, I knew what the town they were in, and because it's in Belgium, I can't remember the name of it. But they are in the Abbey of Val-Dieu, which is in the Valley of Val-Dieu, which apparently used to be called the Valley of the Devil, but now is called the Valley of God because of these monks that have been settled there since the early 1200s. I think 1216 is when the monastery was founded there. And they're Cistercian monks, but they're not a Trappist certified brewery. But they say they do produce 100% of their beer inside the monastery. So it must be something else. You know, to be Trappist, it's incredible. It's incredibly hard. You have to farm your own stuff. You have to grow your own stuff. You have to brew everything else. You have to keep all the profits in the community or donate to charity or back into the monastery, and it's nuts. So for some reason, these guys aren't an actual certified Trappist brewery, but they are Cistercian monks.
But they've been there for 1,000 years, so they should have, a little bit of a system worked out, I'm thinking,
yes,
for all of that. Okay.
So they brew Abbey beers a lot like the Trappists would. They brew a double, a triple, a quad. They brew a couple of other things. They do a Christmas ale and some various and sundry things, but this is the first beer like this that I think I've ever seen from them. And it's a 9%er. It's brewed with Morello cherries, but it's not a sour. It's just a cherry beer, right?
Already did one of those today.
Right. So you'll get a little acidity off the cherry juice itself. And I have not tasted this beer yet, so I'm pretty excited for this one.
Well, then let's start goofing off and get moving.
Might as well. Let's do it.
Text Miss Lynn.
Oh man, the cherry nose on that is
it's
huge.
It is. If I can sniff it and get cherries out of it, it's.
Yeah, the nose on that reminds me of the old Castile Rouge.
Me too. I was going to say that, but
I beat him to it again. Ooh. Oh, that is fun.
That is just a huge cherry explosion.
Yep. That is crazy. So we have a lot of love for Castile, and I'm comparing it to that because that's what I got. But the Castile is so much richer and sweeter than this is. And I remember the first time I had a Castile Rouge, and we talked about how it tastes just like the middle of a Luden's cough drop.
Right, yeah, and it does. This does.
And this approximates that too. I think this is a little drier and a little bit more tart than what you get out of the Castile, but it is so rich and it's so fresh and inviting. It just tastes juicy.
The tartness doesn't hit until it gets to the back of my tongue.
I mean, I'm lingering with some of the tannins, like from cherry, like if I had just eaten a cherry.
Right.
But it doesn't linger bitter or sour at all. Like, just get that cherry finish. Holy crap, that's fun.
So Trappe Door, I didn't mention it in the intro, but Trappe Door is a Belgian restaurant, and basically tap room. And all the menu, the cuisine is all from Belgium, and I guess all the beers are, or most of them.
Yeah, they occasionally get something from another part of Europe or a Belgian style from an American brewer, but 99 out of 100 beers here are going to be out of Belgium, and they get some fun and very unique things that nobody else gets. It's super fun to have these guys at Greenville to be able to get stuff like this that would never pop up anywhere.
That's some serious lacing
That's
right
some
there.
really nice lacing. That is such a great sign from a beer like this too. Oh, and I don't think I said this is fun. Because some of these Belgian beers are such small quantity beers that for me to find information on them, I'm having to translate pages. So I looking this beer up. It's called Fruitee, which looks like fruit with an E with an accent on it and an E that doesn't have an accent on it.
And an umlaut.
Right. There's no umlaut.
Oh, I thought,
But the fun part is that when I translate that page into English, it just translates as fruity. So apparently the name of this beer is Fruity.
we're aptly named. Aptly named. See, those guys have had 1,000 years to figure out what they were going to call this beer.
And they got it in one.
They got it in one. Let's call it fruity.
Yeah. What's this beer like?
Fruity?
Pretty fruity.
Fruity?
Yep. Fun stuff, Russ.
It's just good, though.
Yeah. Let's send these people on their way.
I think it's a fine idea.
Kaboom.
So damn lucky. See you next time.